This is Pocket Faces. It's a A6 120 or 110 GSM sketchbook, perfect bound from Brustro. But I started it in January last year, 2020, before, well, everything. Uh, and I finished it just a week or so ago in 2021. It's about, I'd say, about 80 pages, I think. And let's have a look through it, shall we? Uh, so, there's one thing I want to talk about, which I think I will cover in other books as well. And that is that the first drawing is almost always not good. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, well, I'll show you. Uh, so this was the first thing I did, and it's fine. It's all right, I suppose. Um, but it never is as good as, let's say, some of the things that come later. I don't particularly like it. I mean, there's some decent hair, but the anatomy is kind of flat. It's just sort of perfunctory. And I find that happens a lot with my sketchbooks, at least, and it definitely happens to other people, to the point where I've seen people say that one, like a sketchbook hack, is to just leave this first page and come back to it later. Now, I've tried that and it did not work out, because even though I drew a bunch of other things, not in this book but in another book, and I came back and did the first page, inevitably it was not a great drawing. And I think that's the way I want to go forward, because I think the first drawing of a book need not be the best drawing of a book. It need not be anything. First of all, I say these are sketchbooks, but really these are kind of illustration project books. I say sketchbooks also because I don't spend that much thought on each one. Each of these things may have taken maybe 20-30 minutes. Some of them just lazily took an hour, but some of them took 5 minutes. So yeah, I'm sure I do my ideation and my real sketchy stuff in other books that are really rough, and nobody really needs to see those. I started these sort of things to exercise certain ideas, scratch certain itches. I've always liked doing portraits, and portraits of women especially. And I had a book like this years ago, maybe in 2012 or 13, or maybe, yeah, actually on the way down to 2016. I've always had a book sort of like this, and it had been a few years. And you always think as an artist, oh, I'm just going back to the same old thing. I'm just drawing portraits. I'm not, or whatever your personal pet peeve is. Maybe you like drawing superheroes, maybe you're drawing landscapes, but you keep going back to those things. And I don't think that's really a bad thing. I'd like to just set aside books. Sometimes I have half a dozen, near 10 sketchbooks going. Some of them going for years, and I don't mind that, because it allows me to either try new things or just get back into comfort zones, and just sometimes all you need is to just spend 20 minutes doing something that's nice. So while this is not the best drawing, it was a nice way to start. And quickly, it almost always happens that the second drawing is better, because you're sort of like, oh, I need to try more. And that's this one, which I like a lot. It's has a lot of problems that, let's say, that I have as an artist, and you'll see, I'll point them out later. But this is a decent version of all my problems done well. It's done in a pencil. Red and blue mostly. I'll just get the pencil actually. My little tray of crazy things, it'll be off to the side. This pencil is actually not really an art pencil. It's sold here in India as a checking pencil. So I'm guessing it's for teachers. It has a blue end and red end. You get them just in blue or red, but I guess if you're like marking sheets or things like that, and because people still do that on paper here. So but I really like it. It's by a manufacturer called Narrated. It has a really nice line, very tight, but also lots of lots of range. I can get very light blues and also very dark ones without pressing too hard. And it's nice to have the red on the same page, on the same pencil actually, to be able to just do this sort of thing. And yeah, this ended up being one of my favorite drawings in the book. Second one, kind of, you as an artist, you don't want to peak that early, but okay, that's fine. This one's again not very successful, but it's actually done with a water brush filled with sumi ink. And I know a lot of artists out there, me included, we sort of look up to the work of people like Kim Jong-gi, and we see him signing things and where he just sketches a thing out without even really doing a pencil sketch, which is what I usually do. Even something like this had an underlying construction drawing. So I just tried this one day with the brush pen. It's in profile, not a lot. There are profiles in this, but there weren't a lot of like bust-sized ones. I later on focused only on the head. And yeah, this was okay. It's fine. It's too thin. That's another problem you will see throughout this. And that quickly became the reason where I said that okay, I'm never really going to get back to drawing portraits on A6 like this, because it is a little too small. It's a little too thick. And just physically, just like you end up squashing the page, the figures. But it's okay. It's fine. You can move on. This one I like. Again, it seems to follow a pattern where you do one drawing that you don't like and then you put a little extra effort into something. Again, here there's a bit more background than in the rest of them, but it's not bad. This is done with a Unipin fine liner. I was trying a bit more texture in terms of her dress and the hair. And yeah, this one's not bad. But you do fall back into old habits, and sometimes that's better. I mean, this is sort of the same. This is a pencil. This is in fact probably from one of the pencils I love the most. This is the Apsara Extra Dark, again an Indian manufactured thing, but you'll find something similar. This one's on a pencil holder, so I can just get it all the way down to the nub, which is great. As someone who likes it, I like drawing all the way down to the nub, and I like then keeping the little nubs. So yeah, this one again, this has a great range from light to dark in the same pencil. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. The ears a bit. I didn't really want to draw aliens or anything very non-realistic, but yeah, it's okay. This one actually I think is the same red and blue, but also there are some other yellows, and I think I found a cheap box of color pencils that I picked up for my niece, who's around 8 or 9 at the time, and yeah, it's fine. Theme-wise, I quickly gravitated to this kind of figure, which is like this very stereotypically traditional Indian from the 70s kind of, a large bindi, central part, hair in a bun. Not for any real reason other than just it was kind of comfortable, and also it was this sort of stereotype from my childhood that you don't really see anymore. So I thought it would be interesting to do it not quite with any twists or with any new interpretations, just like see what it's like, because most of the time this book was just comfort. This one is gel pen. Actually, it's a very cheap, probably one of these. This is like some local, I don't even know what brand it is. It's just a regular gel pen, and this one's a technique I've tried a few times, but not very well, where you start off somewhere there in one of the eyes. I saw this in a book somewhere or a tutorial, and you just never lift the pen off the page, and you just like start with there and you move on, and then so you can see like little connecting lines where I just like go from place to place, and it kind of naturally lends itself to this more scratchy style, but I quite like it, which is why it even ends here with the date in the same line, more or less. Yeah, this one wasn't too bad. There are a lot of people with this sort of curly hair. This became another kind of crutch for me. This is again pencil. It's fine. It's nothing special. Also, because I just don't know. I don't have curly hair. I don't, but I like drawing it. So you'll find that a lot here. This was a couple of, again, it's the same stereotype, and you'll see this again. It's not necessarily the same person. I never can, even if I tried, get the same likeness. I'm terrible at that. But this was me basically trying all the different tools that I had sitting in the house. Just so these were a couple of markers. That was like a warm gray and then a cool gray, and I used both of them. And I think there was an yeah, there is a very light pencil construction drawing for this. And this is still February, so this is long before anything happened in 2020. This was some green, I think it was a Muji green ballpoint pen. I did not like this drawing when it started out, and then I think later on, I still don't really like it. It's very skewed, if you can sort of tell that it's not really, and the shading's kind of all just fussy and yet not focused. So more people with afros, or at least giant stacks of curly hair. Okay, these are fine. Pencil is something I gravitated to the most in this. You will see. The story behind this is not so much that I wanted to draw something. This is drawn actually with a pen that I really like. It's called the Tombow Fudenosuke, if I'm pronouncing that right. Pen, but it's a double-ended one, so it has a black and a grey in there. And I keep it with me, especially for the few times that I take sketch pens out. And this was the last time I went out with friends, and I uncharacteristically or characteristically sat around drinking beer in a restaurant and drew this while we were talking. And yeah, that was the last time I went out there before everything kind of hit the fan in March. I like it. It's fine. I kind of like the crown. I like the hair. I draw eyes too big. You will notice that in a lot of my drawings, and I draw them too close because they're a bit too. But it's not bad. There's those big eyes again. This one's a cheap set of sketch pens, or whatever you call the markers. The eyes are a bit mismatched, like you can tell that she's looking in two different directions, and this one looks like she's like a gecko or something. But I like the hair. I like using a light color as the shadow. That's something I've never done before, and I kind of like it. This is one of the points where I realized that A6 is just not right for me, because I was drawing people here, but I kind of always wanted to get the full head in, and that meant squashing a lot of things. Like this would actually in real life go kind of there if there's this much hair and all. Like you can make an argument that the skull kind of is there, but it's not great. Texture is okay. This is also a fine liner, I think. This one is actually the blue pencil as the construction thing, because then I don't have to erase it. So that's nice about it. This is a bit more rendered than usual. Sorry about the trucks outside, or dogs. You'll hear all of them. So yeah, this is Sumi ink I've loaded up a couple of Pentel, or I forget the brand, water brushes. Ones with the full black, ones with like a grey wash, and then one's just water to just like mix stuff around. This is fine. Again, eyes are too big. There's no physical space for them. It's very anime in some ways, but that's okay. And this I like. I still like this. There's a certain subtlety to it. I hope that's coming through on the video. But yeah, I'm not very good at making shadows, and I'm kind of glad that I got into consolidating them, which is a good thing. Again, huge eyes, curly hair, all the standard tricks, but not bad. Not bad as a. This one's actually, I got a fountain pen, a very cheap one, It's less than $1, I think, in rupee terms, but it's not bad. It's got a very nice fine line. It's by some company called Hauser. Um, yeah, this one's not bad. It's all just fountain pen over. I think there definitely was a underdrawing. Almost always is. And yeah, I tried more interesting slash non-standard, non-stereotypical uh, things with this one, but it doesn't quite work. The face is fine without them, and that's why I kind of just went back to doing them. This is again just me trying to do the Kim Jong-gi thing and then failing. Like you can see here, that nose is just kind of come on. Oh, and of course, this is the 24th of March. This is the thick of it. This is when masks started coming in. And this is the only male figure in this portrait in this. This is sort of me. This is a version of me that I tend to draw in several things, and like you can see this. That's March 24th. This is somewhere in March where I was terrible, and then this was early March. So I didn't really draw much in between, and I didn't know what to draw other than this, and I kind of limped back into the groove. This one's stylized okay. I like the hair. I seem to do okay with hair, especially with this Nataraj pencil or Apsara pencil. Sorry. Um, yeah, it's very. Or at least the eyes aren't huge. That's nice. Yeah, this one is with a fine liner or a brush pen. I don't quite remember. Very traditional. Very again. I kind of stopped. Just got rid of the. So yeah, this is just the red pencil. I think that I was trying to fill in more of the page with it, and less people just like staring at it. That would become kind of a crutch. So, of course, everyone we had to do people in masks. That's just a thing that happened. This is a ballpoint pen. I think it's okay. It's again non-standard bindi, nothing special. Yeah, this isn't great. I mean, look at that. That's just like she's like a wedge. Yeah, not everything is great at this. Back to my favorite red and blue pencils. Eyes are completely all over the place. Well, it's okay. In real life, people don't have perfectly symmetrical features or symmetrical eyes, like some of the stylization of this. This one, not great, and it was better in pencils from what I remember, but then I went over it with ink and didn't really render it well. It's just very flat. Yeah. This one's not bad. I like it now more than I did when I drew it. It's I like the fall off of detail, mostly because I'm right-handed and I kind of smudge the page anyway. So then I just kind of went with it, and left that to be like the major profile and kept it in there. Very traditional. And this, you can see I started doing this thing where I don't fill in the details on a lot of the hair, and then later on you'll see it just, and I just claimed that was a part of my style. Nothing special, nothing too great, just kind of there. I went for a more almost Mobius like or Darrow like, I think, shading style. You can see all these like dots, and it's okay. Again, anatomy is not brilliant. Similar, lots of curly hair, lots of more curly hair. My god, this is like a roll run. Oh wow, this is not good. Yeah, you can see the eyes are just huge. Everything's huge. It's like a Bratz doll or something. More normal. This one's again not bad. A little too not very detailed enough, I think. Yeah, and there it is. Huge features all over the place. Not really situated anywhere. Yeah, I don't think. Oh yeah, this. Yeah, July was not great. June and July, I must say, it was kind of, you were 3 months into everything, and then just creativity kind of dried up, and yeah, there were a lot of problems. Not that I could stop, there were plenty of things to do for work and whatever, but yeah, things like this suffer when you aren't feeling your best. But you move on. This is July, yeah. Um, this one's okay. Again, some nice shading here and there. I ended up doing a lot of like popcorn flowers. There are a lot of little flowers that women wear in their hair that kind of look like popcorn when you draw them. Um, so yeah, I was getting more into the groove of these very uh, stereotypical looking women and trying to make them a bit more, get rid of a few of my quirks which didn't happen or I just regress. But yeah, it was nice to sometimes just try something a bit more, very much in my comfort zone at this point. And I think in July we all needed some comfort, something to just do that we could do without really thinking too much about it. This is all the way in September, for instance. I don't think I even drew anything in August because I was actually working on this animated music video, which you can find on my social profiles. So this one, I quite like the hair on this one. And I don't usually draw thick eyebrows on women, so this was just like a thing. Again, the eyes, it's just, I spend a lot of time on eyes, but I'm not very good at situating them as time goes by. They sort of get away from me. That's something I need to work on. It's okay. Since this was a bit over rendered, I think this one was kind of a response to that, something much more loose. And I like it. It's very stylized. I did like doing these. Some of these would just take 10 minutes, maybe. Very loose, just like get stuff down on the page, figure it out. I started doing that a lot. Literally, just you don't even try for anything to look like a face. You just sort of find a profile or a pose in there, and just like figure the rest of it out. The planes of the face are fine on this. I think that's what I was going for. Nothing too realistic or interesting, because yeah, this is one of the only pages where I would say I just kind of abandoned it without ever finishing it or fixing it, and that's fine. Again, this one's nice and loose, just like this one. Almost the same expression, not quite the same person, but lots of curly haired people. This is back to the Sumi brush. Bit of grey here and there. I was doing this, I think I was doing something else with it at the time, so I'd use these as warm-ups quite often. Just get stuff out of the way and then move on to what I actually wanted to do that day in terms of drawing, or in other cases just as a warm down or just a way to get away from things. I didn't always do this. Sometimes I did this at the end of the day, something quick, just that after working on animation and staring at a timeline for the whole day, just do something like this. This one, I don't really remember much about this one. Again, it was good. I was trying to do more of consolidated shadows, looser styles of things. Just try to get just the bare minimum for what constitutes a face. Try for different proportions. I tend to make very wide jaws rather than these more like heart-shaped faces, so trying that. And yeah, sometimes it's just you just do it and you move on. You don't really have much to say about it. And other times, like, I go in and I really like the way the blue pencil renders hair. So sometimes I just pay extra attention on that, even though the drawings aren't brilliant, and at least I didn't, I think her hair is probably a bit too big. Her head should be maybe there instead of down here, but that's fine. I know people who have hair that big. I have hair that big sometimes if it ever decides to behave. This is quite rendered. It's quite lots of grey wash. I think I like that I didn't just fill in that grey there. There's a little line of white which kind of gives it some interest, I think. Yeah, this was all around the same time. I think 11th. Oh wow, that's a quite a gap in between. But clearly, I was still on this Sumi ink kick, and I like that. I like the roughness that you get from just dry brushing a lot of it down. I think this, instead of filling the reservoir, I'd just keep a little pool of ink on the side and just go at it. It doesn't. I mean, this paper is not great for painting on, but after all these months of it just sitting around dry, it's fine. At the time, it was just like I thought it would I just ruined the whole book, but no. And the thing I do is I do keep. Oh, let me show you that. I do keep a sheet. This is just a piece of drawing paper, fairly thick, like 100, 120 GSM, just like this. And I cut it to size so it gets a bit, And that I always keep a piece of paper between the sheets, so I'm never drawing from here with that behind it. And that catches all the spills, that catches all the bleed through most of the time. Once in a while, like you can see marker is bled through there and it probably marked something, but most of the time it's fine. I would suggest you do that on everything. I do that on pretty much every sketchbook I have. I never draw without a backing sheet. And you can just discard them, or they turn into these little almost artifacts of, like, some of them I just use them as when they're out, let's say they're oversized, I just use them to test stuff, and those become almost interesting things on their own. I'll show you some of them sometime. This one's profile, gigantic ears. Since I draw ears a bit too small sometimes, I think I was overcompensating here. But the expression's decent. I mean, he's like, I can solve that at some point if I ever want to. A lot of these I have, especially in 2020, started scanning them in properly and then coloring stuff, especially from older books. I haven't done that for this yet. Maybe I will. Some of these I do like enough that I would want to make more finished artwork out of them, but even just on its own, this is fine. This one, I like this for how it's a weird juxtaposition, because it's a very stereotypical Indian, let's say mid 20th century style image, but it's I won't say it's anime. I like anime. I love anime. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's more this almost 1950s Japanese. I've seen this style. I've seen this on like almost like propaganda posters from the Chinese Republic or the Japanese. It's like it's on product things. I can't quite put my finger on it, but this is more. This makes me feel. This reminds me of that. Yeah, I like it. It's something to explore. I don't know if I will, but yeah, I like it. This is one of my favorites. Uh, it's wash and sumi, and but the thing I like about it is that, unlike a lot of what I do, shadows come in, but I actually just use plain pure black for them, and it's a nice defined shape. I do like the black graphic shape against the more um, textured, because it was like wet in wet at this point. And again, it looked like a mistake when I first did it. Now it looks fine. Gives it a real sense of space. Yeah. This is one of my favorites. And this, oddly enough, was one of my favorites. You will notice this one, even though this one says November and this one says 28th December, because this was just sitting as pencils for the longest time, and I didn't love it enough, and I didn't quite have the heart to rub it out and start over. Or then one day I just took, I think this is a ballpoint pen, and just went in very simply, and I like it. It's she's looking somewhere interesting, or looking at something interesting, which is nice. I mean, a lot of these I'm happy with the expressions on them, and then some of them just kind of are not great. They're just like kind of there, but some of them I like. I like when there's a bit of purpose to the eyes. I don't always get it, but one more comically large eyes, and this one's okay, very stylized again, but yeah, it's okay. This might be my favorite of the entire thing. I tried. So basically, I don't have any kind of formal art education. So everything I've learned, I've kind of learned in fits and starts, and not the right way round. Uh, so somewhere in 2010 or no, yeah, in 2011, I figured out that I'm not really good at cartooning or exaggerating things to a nice way that I like. That's me. So I spent a lot of 2020, I mean 2019, not 20, 2019. Yeah, it was that late. Uh, Figuring out a cartooning style for myself. I did this series which first started as 100 and then 120, 120 nights. I chose and to narrow it down to a subject, and I used an existing set of 100 topics and then added 20 more and came up with that. But anyway, this is actually more in that style. I kind of told myself, no, I don't really want to do cartooning in this one. But yeah, one day this is what wanted to be done, and I really like it. I mean, the point I'm trying to make here is that you can not do cartooning for a while and then do something that's more, pencil and all these various styles. And the point of a book like this is that because you know what you're going to aim for in terms of subject, you don't need to, then you can start to play by the end. And so these lines are like the comic stuff, cartoony stuff I did, but the rendering is all like the more realistic stuff I did. And it works. It works really well. I should do more of it. Let's see, 2021 maybe. This was literally 5 minutes. I think it was just stylization at the other end. Something really. Those cheekbones can just cut through steel, I think. More giant eyes, big hair, blue pencil. It's like Christmas. This is near the end. I think this is the point where I thought, oh, I should just finish this before the end of the year, and then I go through those things, completionism, and then I was like, no, this is not great. This is not what you started it for. And yes, it's fine. You got plenty of not great in here, but put a little effort. Do something you like. And yeah, I think a lot of these happened around the same time, and it was just like, I'm not doing it right. This one, I knew there was something good about it. I knew there was something I liked about it, but I wasn't sure. And I also did not want to go further and then kind of potentially ruin it. And I showed this to a friend recently, and she really liked it. This is one of her favorites of the entire book. And it's not one of my favorites, but it's also, again, I do, there is something about it. There's something different. I've spaced the eyes out more. There's less definition of a lot of things. It's almost like a Victorian portrait in some ways. It's not of this time, and I like that about it. That's the same thing I like about this one. It's or one of the other ones, the one I was going on about, mid-century Japanese stuff about. There's something about these very non-standard styles that work with these subjects. That's why a book like this is rewarding, not just for the comfort, but you'd never know. Sometimes you get things that even you're not sure. This is probably 100 drawings down the line from this, I may figure this out. It might be years from now, but that's fine. It's there, and you can move on, and someone will like it. So this is someone's favorite drawing, so who am I to judge? I just draw the things. This one's, it's skewed, but I kind of like the overall thing of it. One last attempt, I think, although there must be more of, you can tell I do these straight on things with giant eyes, and I'm like, oh, you messed up. Then I just do a profile with giant ears, and I'm like, oh, you messed that up. And then I just try for it. And this is almost like revenge for, that one. It's like that there's something there, right? It's not like that's unreasonably. I have seen people with anatomy a bit like this in real life, so take it to the other direction. Let's really stylize it. Let's go almost like French BD style in terms of how everything fits together. It's okay. Again, it can go somewhere. Maybe not in this, not now, but that's actually the end of, yeah, that's 26th December. That was the end of it. Then I finished it in January 2021, and for once the first drawing of something, and this is the year, not the book, the first drawing of something was not bad. I quite like this. It's the culmination of a lot of things. It's all got all the same, it's this pencil and the curly hair and the giant bindis. But yeah, look, I like it. There's character to it. And this one's okay. I just sort of went for trying to make that a negative shape rather than, I overdid it with this jaw. It's always hard to tell what to stylize sometimes. Yeah, it's not. I like this one. Again, it's the same damn hair. Everyone gets the same haircut. I'm like a bad barber. Yeah, off the profile ones, this one at least has something more going for it. Than it's nice and minimal. I was playing a lot of Cyberpunk 2077 at this point, and literally everyone has this hair in the game. So I guess that's how it filtered through subliminally. But yours decent. That's all okay. Like the hair, honestly, you could have replaced it with a more traditional one, and it would be fine. But off the eyes that are too big range, this one's actually okay. This one was fun. I wanted to do something very, very graphic. Very. I'm not very good at just defining nice shapes in black and moving on. So that was this. Just that's why even the bindi is black. It's not. There's a lot of construction lines you could maybe make out with the red, but it's all down to something minimal. It's nice. And then in even more minimal things, there's this. And this was sort of a test I did. Wanted to figure out something really, really stylized, with a floating bun and floating lips, and see if it would actually work. And it did. I did a page of nude women in my other sketchbook, which I'll show you one day, with similar head construction. But this one's a nice thing. And this was literally one of those 5-minute drawings. I did not think about it. Just did not even really take a picture of it. And then just the next day I was like, okay, I'll just take it and put it up, and people liked it. Someone very kindly retweeted it on Twitter, very nice things to say, and then a lot more people found it. A lot more people for me. I'm not popular by any means, but it was, yeah. And that's what I mean about, even things like this. Like, I need not find these immediately the most interesting or technically brilliant, or the ones that feed my intellect or even soul in some ways. But it's not like I dislike them, but other people like them. Other people, you never know which of your artworks are going to make it, so to speak. So yeah, keep doing things like this. Keep testing. Keep trying. Yeah, this worked out nice. Really, I like the juxtaposition of all the rough construction lines. I leave in. I never really get rid of them, and like this is a wedge that works for me. It's very stylized, but everything's like a nice red. That's one of those artist tricks where you get more. When you're drawing an organic shape, you don't actually go for a curve. You just draw a straight line as much as possible, and it kind of works out better. This is quite a lazy drawing. It's okay. It's not as good as this. All the same problems. And now we come to basically the end. There's like 3 or 4 left. Yeah, the last week of drawing. This was the same pen, I think, as all the way here. I'd let it go and it had dried up, and then I had to get like um, a new cartridge for it and clean it out. And I got some nice. I used the excuse of my dad's birthday to get him some teal colored fountain pen ink, and I filled this with that. So this is the fountain pen ink, the teal colored one. Yeah, and the same. This is also the teal ink. This one is several good stylizations meeting. I think I finally figured out the hair. I like the shading here, even though it's almost intentionally looks quite like she doesn't have skin, but it's fine. That's part of the style. It's a bit overdone. I could have left more white areas, I think, because the face has a lot of those very white areas. But yeah, this is again another style to explore, and maybe in this pen, because it's a really nice color. If you can, there's some of the other early ink ones, which is just a regular fountain pen blue. It's a nice blue, but that's a really nice teal. And then one final blue and red and popcorn flowers in her hair. And yeah, this one's again, eyes are completely anime, but she has a purpose. Oh, not one final one. I guess I did a reverse. This is all reds over blues. But as you can tell, these started out equal, and now blue one's a lot shorter than the red one. So I guess I thought, man, this one's getting neglected. So, and come to the last. At this point, I knew I wanted to do another book like this, or at least always keep a book like this going. I'm not doing it at A6, moving up to A5. It'll still be called Pocket Faces. I'll still use the hashtag, I think, Pocket Faces Sketchbook. You can find it on my Twitter or on Instagram. I think I am the only person using Pocket Faces Sketchbook right now, so you can find these. Yeah, I like this one. It's a nice level of the shadows and everything, kind of, and I like the way the lines and the shadows meet. Graphic, but also has that nice, like, slight depth to it. And so the last one was rather thematically looking ahead, and this is the same 50 rupee 75-cent fountain pen, but by now I'd also got some sepia or brown ink, and filled that one in. And yeah, this is how it ends. Not so great first one, better. Bunch of good ones on the way, bunch of bad ones. An entire year of strangeness, not just for me. And yeah, that is Pocket Faces.